Hello and welcome to the Kojo Show on Usman Talks United. I am your host Kojo from the Free Midfield Podcast and other podcasts. Because like I told you guys, I'm everywhere on podcasts in the podcasting world. So anyway, I am here with my excellent guest to discuss today's European Super Cup game between Chelsea and Villarreal, the winners of the Champions League and the winners of the Europa League, respectively. And with that, I have two fantastic guests. So he was on the first show with me ever, my first Kojo show. I'm going back again for the restart the season of the Kojo. So Yusuf, how you doing, bro?
I'm well, thank you, man. How are you? Thank you very much for having me on the show. I appreciate it, man.
Always a pleasure, bro. Always a pleasure. I'm good, thank you. I'm good. I'm feeling wonderful today. It's a nice day. Sun's back out, no rain, so I'm feeling wonderful. And I'm sure someone who I predict will be feeling wonderful even more in about 3 or 4 hours. Nischal, how you doing, bro?
I'm very well, thanks. Excited for the game. Excited to be on today and talk about the start of the season, start of a new season finally, and in the European final. So can't wait.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, let's start on the new season because I know today's game isn't the Super Cup, but we can quickly talk about maybe expectations for this season for Tuchel, who has done what I'd call a phenomenal job. Didn't come in at the start of last season, came in midway and transformed a team that people were saying they weren't sure under the previous management if they could make top four, made them European champions. So firstly, how impressed are you by the job Tuchel's done so far?
So impressed. It's the best Chelsea manager I can remember in the start of their career since Antonio Conte, and he won the league in his first season. So Tuchel's done a fantastic job. You know, he came in for a really difficult time of the club, losing Frank Lampard, low down in the table in poor form, and with a Champions League title just a month away. Tuchel completely turned the club around, brought players back from the cold, and now, 6-7 months later, champions of Europe, looking like title challengers and looking like we really can challenge across all fronts. So he's done a fantastic job. Everyone's behind him. Everyone's happy for him. And most importantly, this summer, he's got the backing he needed because we've had mistakes before. We've had top-class managers, but they've not been backed. You look at Antonio Conte, you look at Jose Mourinho, you look at Maurizio Sarri. Thomas Tuchel has got exactly right. He's got a striker in Romelu Lukaku. He's going to hopefully get more players in. Whether we need them or not is debatable, but he's got that full support of a board, which is exactly what we need. We've got a world-class manager, we've got a world-class squad, and we've got the striker, so everything's fallen into place. And if we look at what Tuchel did in 5 months, who knows what we can do with a full season.
Yeah, I agree. And Yusuf, I was going to ask you, which I think I'm happy that Nischal mentioned not Frank Lampard. I say Frank Lampard. What's about Frank Lampard? He's passed. He's gone. Romelu Lukaku, actually, because he is a former striker of Man United, the club that me and Yusuf support. So Yusuf, we've seen Lukaku at United. He was there for about 3 years. Went to Italy, 2 years in, and Serie A champion, first league title of his career. How much do you think he's improved, or do you think he's improved from his time at Man United? And do you think he's going to become a better player even more with Chelsea in the Premier League?
That's a tough question, but if I can give an easy answer, yes. I think as a Man United fan, I was very disappointed when we sold him. Okay. I was a huge Lukaku fan when he was at West Brom, when he was on loan and he scored a hat-trick against us in that last of the game under Alex Ferguson. I thought, wow, this guy is really something, and I was actually really surprised that he didn't get his chance at Chelsea. But I understand. I think first time around for him, it was just the wrong time, and I think Chelsea have got a kind of a history of this. I think that there's always that debate on, they had De Bruyne, they had Mohamed Salah, they had Romelu Lukaku, but unfortunately there was a certain guy called Didier Drogba, and I'm sure Nischal can touch more on this, that Lukaku was just unlucky. And the same with Mohamed Salah, that there was Eden Hazard there, and it's actually really nice to see how Lukaku was he got the move to United, and as I said before, I was very disappointed that he left. Then he went to Serie A and has done absolutely brilliantly there. And now he's come back to Chelsea. I mean, now that they've got him, I'm very scared, and it's going to be very interesting to see if he scores against us, which I would not be surprised if he celebrates or not. He seems like a very respectful guy. So yeah, I think that with the signing of him, Man City are going to be really pushed all the way.
So Nischal, with Lukaku being signed, what was your expectations before and after he signed him? Because obviously, you are the European champions. I think knowing Chelsea's history, especially when they bring a new manager in, they always tend to go for titles straight away and compete. I think maybe the only one or the only two that didn't win a league title when they came in from the Abramovich era anyway would be Andre Villas-Boas and Scolari. I don't think Scolari won a title. I'm trying to think if Hiddink did.
Hiddink won the FA Cup.
He won the FA Cup. And Rafa Benitez, did he win a trophy with you?
He won the Europa League.
Europa League. Okay, so it's only two managers that didn't accomplish anything.
Frank Lampard as well.
Oh, sorry, I forgot about him. So that's 3 out of how many managers? So overall, the record is fantastic. And Tuchel's obviously now added to that class of managers that have won something major with the club. What were your expectations looking forward into the season before Lukaku came? And now that Lukaku's there, what do you think Chelsea can really achieve with him being the main striker?
Before Lukaku, we didn't have a good striker. We didn't have a standout number 9. And that's what was holding us back. You could watch Chelsea every single game and you'd say the same thing. They're good. They've got great players. But they don't have a finisher. They waste their chances. They're not clinical enough. And that's what we needed. We needed a new striker. And I was really adamant. I said, Haaland or nothing. And that's when Lukaku was not even on the books, when Inter was saying he's not for sale whatsoever. We're not going to get him. Before getting the top striker, I would have said comfortable top 4 finish, maybe a domestic cup, but at most a top 4 finish, because we've seen that in recent seasons. But the problem is we've scraped it pretty much at the end of the season because we start to falter, drop easy points, and it goes down to the final day, which it has for the 4 previous seasons. Now we've got Lukaku, it's a title challenge. If it's not a title challenge, that's a failure. And everyone will be honest that you spent £200 million last year, you spent £100 million this year. If £300 million combined doesn't get you at the very least a title challenge and a trophy, maybe the FA Cup or the League Cup, that's not good enough. And I saw a question a second ago. If Tuchel didn't get the Premier League or the Champions League, would Abramovich fire him? The way I see it is, it depends. If he didn't, how did he do it? If they finished second on the final day on goal difference, or if they lost the Champions League final, maybe there'd be some leeway, maybe there'd be some remorse. But if it was a 5th place in the league, if it was a round of 16 in the Champions League, absolutely he would be sacked. And none of us would want to see that, especially from what we've seen with Tuchel. But at the end of the day, Chelsea are ruthless. And it's the same way that they have no problem spending £98 million on Lukaku, bringing him back in because we knew we needed a striker. But now we've got him, we can go for the title. Some will say we'll win the title, some will say we're not. I'm not sure yet. I want to see what I want to see today. Are we playing well? How do we look ahead of a new season? But absolutely, I'd say it's between us, Manchester United, and Manchester City for the title. And if we're not in that 3, then that's a failure of the season, unfortunately.
Interesting. Why? And I asked Yusuf the same thing after you answered this question. You said Man City, Man United, and Chelsea. Now, there's 3 clubs that spent good money this year. So Lukaku's been a major signing. Jack Grealish would be called a major signing for that, even though personally I have many questions about his importance to that side, if he improves them much or not. And then United with Sancho and Varane being the 2 key signings for them. You didn't mention Liverpool. Why do you not think Liverpool would be part of that discussion?
I would mention Liverpool, and I'll say quickly, Van Dijk and Gomez both coming back. They're almost like new signings, given that we've been out for so long, getting those centre-backs back. And it's great. They've got Konate as well. They've got a strong team, but they still have the same problem for me that they had last season, which is why I said from the very start, they're not going to win the league because we have no squad depth. In defence, now they do. That's an important component. If Van Dijk or Gomez get injured again, Konate can come in. They've got 3 strong options there. That's all right. But around the rest of the squad, if you compare a first 11 and a second 11, for all 4 of those teams you've mentioned, Liverpool, United, City, Chelsea, Liverpool's is by far the weakest, let's be honest. Their first team, absolutely, it's brilliant. Deserved to win the title, deserved to win the Champions League a few years ago. You look at their second 11 and you wonder, with all the money, the resources that Klopp has received, and all the talent, of course, he has in getting these players in, why don't they have stronger alternatives? And now you're looking at their second team. Shaqiri's on his way out to Lyon. Origi's probably going to be going. They lost the likes of Kabak. They've still got Phillips, but this second team isn't as strong. So I can see them maybe being in the title challenge, but compared to the other teams, especially if we look at December when you need to be rotating more, playing more of those second fiddle players, City will be fine, Chelsea will be fine, United might even be fine, but Liverpool aren't on that level of having a strong all-round squad and having these options where we can afford to rotate and afford to have injuries.
All right. So, Yusuf, Hearing Nishal's point out, I'm going to say personally right now, I actually don't count Liverpool in the title race either. My issues to do more with their injury-prone players now because they've had, like you said, the two major defenders with two major injuries, and with major injuries, we don't know how players come back. Gomez, this being his second major injury in such a young career, so you don't know how he can bounce back as well. Obviously, as a coach myself, I would hope that it doesn't affect them. I think everyone wants their best players, and everyone watching football wants to see the best players on the pitch on a more consistent basis. But Yusuf, with that being said, who are your major challenges for the title this season?
Manchester City and Chelsea. I put them at the same level.
Why is that?
I just think
not
that
United for you as well, and Liverpool.
Yeah, I mean, I'm a Man United fan, so I really shouldn't be saying that, should I? But it's just, I just feel like they both have the balance in midfield absolutely like spot on. I mean, you look at a player who I loved when he was in Napoli, Jorginho, and sort of a manager that was, correct me if I'm wrong, Nischal, but he was out of favour, I believe, under Frank Lampard before Tuchel came in, and it looked like he was going to be out the door. And sorry, when Lampard was in charge, and now you look at he's a Champions League winner, and then he wins the Euros, and he's crucial for his country. He's going to be coming back now, feeling top of the world. Next to, I was saying to Kojo before, my favourite midfielder, N'Golo Kante. I mean, that is just, and you've got Kovacic as well, who I think is unbelievable, by the way. I think he's such an underrated player. I don't think I've ever seen a midfielder. He can just go past people. I don't think. Do you remember Moussa Dembele when he was at Tottenham?
Yeah.
And you know those players that just they can get the ball and go, and you can't stop them. They're just too strong, too quick, too agile. I think Kovacic, I think he's got fitness issues. Nischal, you'll know better than me, obviously, but I don't know. I feel as if he's such a good player, but he could even go to another level. I really feel like there's so much more room for him. Like, and I'm talking like best centre midfielder in the world. That's what when I watch him on some games, I'm like, wow, like this guy has got it all. I haven't even mentioned Mason Mount yet. Such an incredibly consistent footballer. The amount of football that he plays, playing under Lampard and then Tuchel. And I remember when Tuchel took over and everyone was like, oh, he's not going to play him. He's going to favour the German players. And it just goes to show what a top player he is. And if I can talk about Man City quickly, they just have the balance in midfield, right? You've got Fernandinho and Rodri. Manchester United don't have those midfielders. We've got very good midfielders, just we don't have that type of midfielder. We might have more talented players. That's why I put those two. But if I can just be on the flip side, you guys both have ruled out Liverpool, and to a certain extent I agree. But I think them letting Wijnaldum go, well, not letting him go. I mean, he just ran down his contract. But the fact that they didn't replace that position, he's similar to Kovacic, but he's obviously more influential for his team. That the work that they do, it just goes unnoticed. And that's why I think Thiago as well. It's crazy because when Bayern Munich won the Champions League, was he not the best player in the Champions League final that year? In my opinion, he was. That's what I was watching on the pitch personally. And then a year later, he's like, the butt of the jokes, taking a mick out of him, putting his, what's that meme with him when he's putting his, he's saying, oh, well done to everybody around him, people taking a mick. I think he's too good of a player to not have an improvement. So, and also they've got Mohamed Salah up front, so you can't rule them out ever.
No, that's fair. That is fair. That's a fair point. Okay, so I think at least the general consensus so far is that Chelsea and Man City will be the top two challengers anyway. Man United's a bit hit and miss for some of us. But let's get back to this game. Now, Super Cup final. Now, me and Nischal were speaking earlier before the show started, and Nischal did point out that their record in this game is not great. Today, the Falcao's name is trending on Twitter, funnily enough, because of today. When they played Atletico Madrid in 2012, he produced one hell of a performance in that game, a legendary performance, I would say. And then in recent years, you said you played Bayern Munich and Liverpool were the other two, right? So, do you think that history could change today? What would be different about this final that would make you think, today's the day that we end this hoodoo?
It's tough because we played 4 Super Cups and we've lost the last 3. All really tough games. Atletico, it was Falcao's magic. Bayern Munich was on penalties. Liverpool was on penalties. And all 3 of them, we're in games where we could have won. We played well, but we weren't good enough. We have won this trophy before. That's something we need to remember. 1998, we beat Real Madrid, another Spanish opposition, and a very good Spanish opposition in that regard. So we've done it before. It's not this is a trophy we've never won, but it's one which has evaded us for a long time. I think I'm right in saying it's the trophy we've gone longest without winning now, apart from the trophies that don't exist, like the European Cup, Winners' Cup. What changes this time is that I have trust in Tuchel. You know, we've not seen the best of Tuchel yet. We've seen his early days, and that's won the Champions League. But we've not seen the best of him doing what he can with his team, with all this time with his squad. Whereas if you look at the other games, Di Matteo, yes, it was a new contract, but was in a similar situation. If we look at 2019, that was Frank Lampard's very, very early on into his career. That was his second game after Man United, where we lost at Old Trafford. And then the middle one against in 2013, that was right at the start of Mourinho's tenure. So all of them have been at the start, but the difference with Tuchel is he settled in more. He started off better than anyone with a convincing Champions League, with a really strong squad, and with the likes of Lukaku coming in. So I do have confidence in this Chelsea team. We've got a great team. We've got a great chance to win today. And really, of course I want to win. I really do. But at the end of the day, it will show us, whether we win or lose, it will show us how we look for the rest of the season. If, you know, God forbid, we have a really poor game, what will that say about a potential title charge? If, on the other hand, we completely blow VILLARREAL out of the park, what will that say? And it will show that we can do a lot.
Now you said that the lineup is indeed out. Yusuf gave me the heads up in the private chat, and I've just found the full lineup on the, and he's put it in the group chat as well, so that's perfect. I will read it out for the people watching. In goal, and it's looking like a 3-4-3 formation. I could be wrong, but that's what it looks like so far. We got Mendy in goal. You got a back 3 of Rudiger, Zuma, and Trevor Chalobah. So that's interesting.
Wow, interesting.
Yeah, Callum Hudson-Odoi on the right, Marcos Alonso on the left. In the middle, you have Kovacic and Kante. And the front 3 is Timo Werner, Hakim Ziyech, and Kai Havertz. Now, I will just say like this. And Villarreal's threats do come from set pieces. They are very good at set pieces. It's not about competing and being strong in the air. It's more about their movement. They're trying to find Gerard Moreno, long balls into the far post. So when it starts to dip into the box, it's more trying to see who can get on their foot on it first rather than their head on it first. But other than that is their main threat, Gerard Moreno. If they're not trying to find a set piece play, they're trying to find him. With Trevor Chalobah in that lineup, firstly, I don't know much about him. Obviously, I believe you will know more about him. If you can tell us a bit about him, that would be great. And also, do you have confidence in that lineup, especially in that defense, to get the job done against Villarreal today?
So Trevor Chalobah, he's been on our books for a long time. Youth player, his brother Nathaniel was in the team, but unfortunately didn't make it at Chelsea. But where Trevor goes differently is with his loan deals. He went out on Loya and Liga last season, did very, very well. And he came back into the Chelsea team, really impressed Tuchel. And especially in these preseason games against Tottenham, against Arsenal, he was fantastic. So based off preseason, completely get why he's starting. It's a big gamble, a huge, huge gamble, because I think you said Rudiger and Silva were the other centre-backs? Zuma. So no Silva, no Azpilicueta, no Christensen. So there is a bit of a lack of top leadership in that defence. So maybe a bit worried. Yes, it is a major European final. I want to be winning this. But I do have trust in Tuchel. I have trust in Chalobah. He's been playing brilliantly. He deserves this start. And also, you have to ask, if he's not going to start, if he's been playing so well in pre-season, when else would he actually start? He's not going to start the first Premier League game. He's not going to start the first Champions League game. The Super Cup, while yes, it's a big trophy and it's a big opportunity, it's also a good time to give Chalobah his taste of first team action and see, okay, you can do it in the friendlies. Can you do it in a competitive fixture? So, surprised me. You could see when you were reading out, surprised me, but I'm fine with it and I support him. That also leads on to Hakim Ziyech. It's the same reason he's in the team, because he's been brilliant in pre-season. So I understand why he's been playing really well. Hudson-Odoi going in and breaking the lines. But otherwise, it's a strong team. You know, of course, there are a few players where you're saying, I wonder how they're in. But at the end of the day, it's a fresh start. It's a new season. And this is based on what Tuchel has seen in training, in pre-season and everything he's seen in the build-up, nothing to do with last season. So it's a strong team, but definitely a few surprises.
Yeah, and to be fair, your bench is quite strong. So you've got Kepa, Arrizabalaga, and got as a backup goalkeeper, Thiago Silva, Christensen, Aspilicueta, Reece James, Ben Chilwell, Emerson, Loftus-Cheek, Mason Mount, Jorginho, Pulisic, and Tammy Abraham. So you still do have some threats on the bench. Quickly for Villarreal, Asenio in goal, Foyth from Spurs at right back, Raul Abillo and Pau Torres at centre back with Pedraza at left back. Trigueros, Capoue, and Moreno make the midfield. Pino, Dia, and Gerard Moreno make the strike force with Jeremino Rulli on the bench, the goalkeeper. Mario Gaspar, Pena, Bandi Cuenca, Estupinan, Molanes. I've never seen this player before. Must be a youth prospect. Moy Gomez, Ibora, Rabah, Paco, Alsacer, and Nino. Decent side. Let's talk about Kai Havertz quickly. He's someone I wanted to talk about as well. I predict him to have a huge season this year for Chelsea. Yusuf, firstly, I'll come to you. Kai Havertz, did he impress you towards the end of the season, considering he also had COVID to deal with at the beginning of the year last season for Chelsea? How much did he impress you or not impress you? And do you think he could be having a good season this year and be important for Chelsea?
Yeah. First and foremost, what a terrific young talent. His stats really don't lie. I think it was it the 29 goals he scored in 2 seasons for his last 2 seasons of Leverkusen. Coming to the Premier League, I mean that's no easy feat. As I alluded to before, if one of the world's best centre midfielders can come to the Premier League and struggle like Thiago, I don't expect a 21-year-old boy to come and light up the Premiership. And I'm expecting huge things from him this season. Now that the back end of the season, it's actually strange because even though I'm a rival fan, but it's always good to see players find their feet eventually. Yeah. I think just from a neutral perspective, because as you said, he had COVID. Imagine he's come over from Germany. He's a young man. He's trying to find his way. He's got to settle into a new club, new culture, new language. I'm not sure if he speaks English well or not, but you've got to take all these things into consideration because at the end of the day, these are human beings, and it is vitally important that their mental state is right. Otherwise, when they step out into the field, you're not going to be able to perform. And I think I remember one of his first interviews. He said that he was shocked by the fitness levels. It might have been the West Brom game away. Nischal, I don't know if you can correct me on that, but I think he spoke after the game and said that he felt like he couldn't run. Is that what happened? I think he struggled to run. I think he said his fitness.
And post-COVID as well.
Yeah, exactly. And obviously we know about the effects of that, even if you sort of test negative after. So yes, it was sort of. I thought in the Champions League final in particular, it was not the same player that I was watching at the start of the season, and that's always great to see. And I don't want to say it's sort of like, Lampard couldn't get the best out of him. I just think that he had that time, and by the time Tuchel came in, I think he was settled. And I think that's, as I said, it's good to see him find his feet, and obviously he's a hero now to you guys for scoring the final against Man City, and he took his goal really well. So, and he's obviously settled in the Germany team as well. That should never be underestimated as well. So, Chelsea have got a top player on their hands, and I think this season it would not surprise me one bit if he's hitting 10, 15 goals, because he's such a versatile player. That's the thing. He doesn't just play on one side. He's so well balanced, such an elegant player to watch as well. And I think that, I'm sure Nischal's very lucky that they've got him at his club. So they've
right now they've got an abundance of talent, attacking talent that is out of this world. Nischal, 2 quick questions before we finish off. The first question is, out of the attacking talent you have right now, who is the best player to link up with Lukaku in your opinion, or best 2 players depending on formation?
In terms of the attacking wingers either side of him?
Yes.
I'd like to see Mount and Havertz. I think that's the best combination in terms of delivery, in terms of creativity, but also giving Lukaku the space to roam and the freedom in the middle of a pitch. Because if we have Timo Werner, he's somebody who wants to move in. He's naturally a striker. Move into the channels and get into the box. Hakim Ziyech has got great delivery, and he could be someone like that, but he also likes to drift in a bit. Mount and Havertz, you've got two Roman 10s, and I think that would be perfect for Lukaku. Of course, we're not sure exactly what the chemistry would be or what the link-ups would be, but we've got options, and we've got time to experiment and players to experiment with. But I would love to see a start with Mount, Lukaku, Havertz. That is the dream front three in terms of form, in terms of ability, everything that you just said about Havertz, everything we've seen from Mount, and then Lukaku, just an absolute beast. So that's what I'd like to see. But really, you could put any two wingers from the club either side of Lukaku, and it'd be fine because we've got that abundance of talent. We've got so many talented attackers that we could have a first choice front three, a second choice front three, a third choice front three, and we would still be fine. So we have options galore for sure.
Absolutely. And my last question would be, well, it kind of is a question that leads on to another question. Did you watch that Europa League final between Man United and Villarreal? Okay, so
I did, yeah.
Where do you think Chelsea need to exploit the most? What would you encourage the players to do to try and get the best result against Villarreal?
I think my mid-observation of Villarreal was that they defended so well, and United really struggled to break them down. And I think the reason for that was the absence of a player who could really break the lines. But we've got someone like that in Callum Hudson-Odoi, for example. Maybe he's a bit out of position at a wing-back. Maybe he's not at his strongest there. But what he does really well as a wing-back is being able to break through those lines, get those overlapping runs. And same with Marcus Alonso. So that's the key. Really going full throttle at them, trying to break the lines, but also being wary of the counter-attack and the set pieces. Because like you said, they're good from set pieces, from corners. They're good with crossing, and they looked very, very good and deserve the win in the Europa League final. So absolutely, we need to be able to make sure that they don't get that low block, because we notoriously struggle against low block defensive teams. If we let them get into that mood, whether it's us dominating the ball or Villarreal being in control of the game, if we let them get into that defensive mindset and getting everyone behind the ball, we will struggle. We need to get at them from the start, begin to break those lines and get in behind that defense to get the best chance of winning.
Yeah, I agree. All right, let's finish off here with a prediction. Always fun. Yusuf, you go first, neutral-ish. I'm sure you maybe, I don't know if you watch Chelsea TV, no, you don't mind. But either way, give a prediction for the scoreline for today.
That's tough, man, because obviously a lot of Chelsea's best players are on the bench. But I mean, I just looked at Villarreal's form. Actually, they haven't won a game all in pre-season, and I think they had a COVID outbreak as well recently. So I don't know what. Yeah, I don't know what sort of shape. That shapes them up for a masterclass tonight, probably. But I still think Chelsea have got too much power for them. I think so. Let's say 2-1 Chelsea. 2-1 Chelsea.
2-1 Chelsea. Nischal, are your boys going to get the job done this time round?
Yes, but it won't be easy. Something tells me we're going to penalties. We went to penalties in 2013. We went to penalties in 2019. We lost both of those, but I believe we will win on penalties. So I'm going to say 1-1 after extra time, and then Chelsea to win on penalties.
Okay, I am going to say Chelsea 3, Villarreal 0. I firmly believe that you guys are going to... I think you're going to walk it. I think you'll score 1 in the first half, and then you put them to bed later on in the second half. And I think it'll be a blue day. Again, European champions, European Super Cup champions, and potential Premier League winners would be an excellent start for Thomas Tuchel. Thank you, everyone that's watched and has been in the comments. I really appreciate the support. Make sure you do support these guys. Nischal, tell us what you're doing right now, and if to follow your socials if you want.
Yeah, first of all, thanks for having me on. Good to be on to preview the game, and I'm looking forward to it. I've just started working for the new season, so if you enjoyed what you heard from me today, you can find all of my work on nishalsblog.com. Articles, videos, podcasts, they're all going to be there. And you can follow me on Twitter at Nischal_SP to keep up with everything I'm doing.
Awesome. Yusuf, what are you saying?
Kojo, you know what I'm going to say? Everybody go and support my brother Kojo at 3 in midfield. This guy is an absolute legend, a humble guy, true gentleman. Thank you for having me on your show. It's been a pleasure to be on here. Nischal, great to meet you today, man. I really enjoyed listening to you. I'm not a Chelsea fan, but I'll be looking out for you from now on. So everyone go and support him. And thank you for having me on your show, man. I really, really appreciate it.
Yeah, Yeah, Yusuf forever the humble guy, man. He's never promoted himself, always promotes everybody else. I appreciate this guy. But no, I appreciate you two as well. Thank you for joining me. It's been the first edition of the Kojo Show. Next week, we will be talking about the next weekend Premier League games. It's always going to be previews and other discussions within the game. I was going to talk about Lionel Messi today, but at this point, I think everyone's tired. Let him enjoy France. Let him enjoy Paris. When he kicks his football, then we'll start talking about Lionel Messi again. But everyone have a good day. Enjoy the final. And that's it for tonight. Peace.